Hey, this is Melvin Ramon. Let's talk about music. It's been a little while since I've been on here. Appreciate anybody who's sticking around. It's the summer. It's been busy. My phone was kind of being an asshole for a while. The memory chip died, and it took me a little bit of time to get a new one. It seems like everybody else has kind of been in the same boat as far as being busy with it being summer. So, I did want to kind of get back on the horse, though, and get another video out there for you. So got some recent purchases. First up here is the new album by Torche. It's called Admission. They were originally from Miami. I think they've moved. This is on a baby blue vinyl, which I don't really care for. Actually, the cover's going to be a little bit reflective there. I don't know how it's going to show up on camera. But they are a sludge metal, but kind of also people say a poppy element. I don't really think it sounds too poppy to me. More almost anthemic. They do cite indie rock bands like Guided by Voices as a little bit of an influence there. They do have this kind of shout-along energy with a lot of their stuff, and some of their other stuff kind of, especially on this record, gets a little shoegazy. But then when it comes time to bring the heavy, they really crush it. All of their albums I've enjoyed. This one I've only had a chance to spin once so far. It seemed pretty good. It hasn't quite grabbed me yet, but I've liked everything else they've done, so I'm sure I'll get into it in a quick minute here. Definitely, if you get a chance to see those guys live, they are just a hell of a fun time on stage. I've seen them with a ton of other really notable bands in that sort of area, and they are every bit as good as all of them. This is a collection called Diabolical Boogie by a band called Chrome Pranks. This has been out a while. I originally purchased it on CD and decided that I needed to go ahead and own the triple LP set here. This is a garage rock, noise rock type band from the 90s. You can see there's kind of a huge spread with a little bit of a history of the band here. Two of the members, the bass player Jerry Peel played with John Spencer. Two of the members played with John Spencer. The bass player played with him in a band called Honeymoon Killers, which is from the Honeymoon Killers is where the John Spencer Blues Explosion kind of spun out. The drummer is Bob Burt. He played in Pussy Galore with Spencer. Also, you might know him from having been in Sonic Youth and Lydia Lunch Retrovirus and a few other things along those lines. Definitely one of my all-time favorites. This particular release compiles all their singles and compilation tracks, including a number of covers and also the stuff left over from their last session. They did get back together and make another album a few years ago that I thought was just as good as they ever were. Sonically, style-wise, he talks in here about being influenced by The Doors, Suicide, Jesus and Mary Chain. Who else does he say there? The Scientists. Certainly you can hear all of that. If you're thinking in terms of Pussy Galore and John Spencer Blues Explosion, that New York sound, that sort of dirty New York sound, they're certainly right in that league. Some of their first few releases were on Crypt Records. Actually, that's not correct. Their first one wasn't, but several of their releases were on Crypt Records. They toured with, I saw them on tour one time with Kim Salmon and the Serialists. One of my all-time favorite bands. If you like kind of dark, gritty, rock and roll type stuff, I really, especially stuff that gets a little noisy, I really recommend them. They're just one of the great bands. And that release, I don't know if it's a place to start because it's a triple LP. I would say their album Dead Cool was probably my favorite and the easiest one to go for. But definitely a very, very good band and well worth checking out. This next one up here is Cloak and Dagger by Lee Scratch Perry and the Upsetters. This is a reissue from last year. This was released originally in 1973 without a label in Jamaica. And then a year later it was released in a different, slightly faster mix in England. This, from what I can tell, is the original Jamaican version of the album, although I'd actually like to hear the English one too. I mean, everybody, if you're watching this kind of thing, you're going to know who Lee Scratch Perry is. He's, you know, one of the producers, one of the major guys in reggae. This is sort of in the beginning as he was really starting to develop dub and create that sound. Definitely something, I don't know if I'd say it's one of my favorites by him, but after a couple spins, I really think it's a good, you know, kind of kick-back, hot summer day kind of release, and, you know, as you would expect from anything from Lee Scratch Perry. Coming up here is Long Island by Endless Boogie. This is a release. This is an artist I discovered via the BC. I saw Andrew on Tales from the Crate talk about it, listened to a sample, and went out and bought a couple of their records. I just recently, they reissued their first two records as a double LP set. He showed that, and so did Steve Carlson, I think. So when looking for that, I found that this was available. This is the one release, the one full-length album of theirs that I didn't have, minus some limited live stuff. So I went out and snatched this up. They are kind of well, they're a blues rock band. You know, I've heard them described as the Stooges meets Canned Heaters, ZZ Top. I certainly hear that. I was playing it in the record store. Somebody thought there was kind of a krautrocky thing going on, or a Hawk Wendy type of thing. Definitely, I mean, there's sidelong, you know, heavy jam kind of stuff. So I certainly see that. I also, one thing that I haven't heard anyone mention that I think is sort of an obvious influence, the source of their name, 70s John Lee Hooker. There's certainly that kind of spooky blues vibe. I definitely think of Captain Beefheart, particularly Mirror Man. Anyway, if you like heavy, kind of out blues rock type of stuff, I think you would really enjoy this band. Great band. Hopefully, I mean, they seem to still be around, so hopefully I'll get a chance to see them on tour sometime soon. I'd really like that. Up here is the first album by the Mekons. The Quality of Mercy is not, I don't know, sternum? Something like that? I'm not sure how to pronounce that word. I should look it up before I start talking about it. This is a reissue on Superior Viaduct. Superior Viaduct, I think I've shown a couple things that they've reissued already on the channel. It's a great reissue label. They pull out lots of good stuff and do a solid job with these reissues. I've been a Mekons fan for quite a while. In fact, their album Rock and Roll is one of my all-time favorites. Sort of later on, they went through a post-punk phase and then started adding in country Americana elements. Definitely, you know, sort of seminal in that regard. They have a ton of releases and they're all really good. A friend of mine actually one time said that he always thought of them as like an American version of The Fall, which is kind of funny because they actually aren't American. They're English, although they have lived. Many of them have lived in America for quite a while. This is their first album. I hadn't actually heard it until I purchased this. This is very much 77 British punk style stuff. Really good. Also, if you like punk rock at all, this is a great record, and while it's available, you should definitely scoop it up. I would also say that if you see any of their stuff, pick it up, and I'm really hoping that Superior Viaduct is, they did recently about 6 or 7 fall albums, and I would hope that they'll similarly reissue a whole big run of the 80s stuff from the Mekons, because one of my all-time favorite bands, and I would really love to see that. This is the new album by Superstition. Let me see if I can remember the title. The Anatomy of Unholy Transformation. This is a death metal band. I went to a show they played, opening for another death metal band called Tomb Mold. Unfortunately, I was stuck in traffic for almost an hour and missed their set, which was a real bummer. I did pick this up from the band, which I was happy about, and one of their earlier CDs. And got to tell band members that I appreciated their music, which was great. It's kind of an odder type of black metal release. I think there's a little bit of, maybe a psychedelic element. You can kind of tell there's some a little bit of trippy as well as, gnarly, deathy type of stuff in here. Basically, I wanted to show this because I've been really excited by a lot of stuff that's coming out on 20 bucks spin. Death metal for me was something that was kind of a challenge for a really long time, and it just sort of clicked a couple years ago, and I've really kind of gotten hooked on those really super gnarly guitars and the growly type of stuff, and the energy. Really excited about this, and a lot of stuff on the label. Anyway, anything that comes out on 20 bucks spin, definitely recommend if you have at all any kind of taste for the heavier stuff. And then a couple more here. This is Automat by Metz. It is a new collection of singles and EPs prior to their signing on Sub Pop. This is the loser edition, so it's going to have colored. It's kind of a smoky splatter. I'm not actually very fond of clear splatter stuff. I find it hard to see where the tracks are and to see dust and that sort of thing, but I know a lot of people really love that. This is a noise rock band. It's sort of fitting that they're on Sub Pop. I think it's a good fit of a label for them. They are one of the better. There's a lot of current noise rock bands. There's been a revival going on for a long time. It's one of my kind of core genre that I really enjoy listening to, and those guys do it, right up there with the best of them. Put out a ton of energy, especially on stage. Like I said, this is a collection of singles after they've got now 3 albums. So it's kind of a placeholder until they put out something else. I'm always really excited to hear from new stuff from them. Last thing I've got is a recent score. One of the record stores in town is about to move, so they've been having a sale. This is I think 80s pressing of Archie Shepp, Yasmin and a Black Woman. It's a free jazz record. I'm a little bit of a tourist when it comes to free jazz. I love absolutely everything I hear about it, but I'm not going to be particularly great at articulating it. This is a well-known release in that genre. If you like jazz and you like it energetic and maybe a little scrunky, Archie Shepp's going to be great, and certainly this guy's going to be good to hear. I left it out of reach, unfortunately, but I had a promo CD of a band that I was pretty excited about. Maybe I'll show it next time, but I did want to mention it. Hyde is the name of the band. It's a noisy, kind of industrial but harsh noise project with female fronted singer. It's coming out soon. I'm probably going to order the album, so maybe I'll just have to wind up showing that later. Anyway, that was good. I was going to show it. I left the CD out of reach. Looks like this is getting, pretty long here. Appreciate it for you sticking around. Love to hear from you in the comments. Thank you very much. Have a great day.